Welcome to the Summer Careers Festival, giving you a summer of careers advice, workshops, and general job opportunities delivered by Life Proof and WMCA. Our Find Your Future campaign is led by young people, and it's all about our voices and our needs. And with 23,000 young people under 25 coming out of employment due to furlough, there's just a struggle with finding education or training. So it's really important for our voices to be at the forefront of this campaign and for us to really start speaking about the kind of support that we want. So today we are doing the importance of digital skills workshop, and we are here with a few wonderful guests, starting with Patricia. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Thanks, Leah. Yes. Hi, my name is Patricia McMahon and I'm with Generation.
Thank you. And we also have Marisha Stevenson here today. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Of course. So good evening, everyone. I'm Marisha Stevenson. I am a broadcaster and presenter.
Great, thank you. And we've got Theo Hoffman as well.
Hi, guys. I'm Theodore Hoffman. I am a marketing guru, as they say, and I'm the owner of Social Studios.
Great, thank you. And for you guys who don't know, I'm Leah, also known as Lyric. I'm a singer-songwriter and the general one of the young faces of Life Proof at the moment. So yeah, can we go to the next slide, please? So today we are just here to talk about the importance of digital skills and why we as young people are going to need them. So what does that mean? What does that mean to everybody? Digital skills in general is just the use of digital devices, online communications and networks to find and manage information. Or, you know, a lot of us know it as being able to use social media and being able to interact with each other and like emails and whatnot. And then you get the foundation of digital skills, which is the ability to use technology and digital devices like your phone, your computer, your tablet, or whatever else you might be using nowadays at a foundation level, which is just, you know, connecting to the internet, using a search engine and making accounts in a safe manner. And then you have the advanced digital skills, which is good knowledge of social media, search engine optimization, digital marketing, web analytics, artificial intelligence or AI, programming, coding, app development, and etc. So that's where the money is. And right now, to anyone listening, you're probably wondering, what did I just say? But don't worry, we'll get a little bit more into what all of those advanced digital skills mean. So to start off, I'd just like to put it out to the guests. Why are digital skills important? And that's for any of you.
Okay, so digital skills are important because that's where like the future is pretty much headed. So for example, just like we're just going through a pandemic, being digital has enabled us to make sure that we have connection with our audience, but also be able to make money and to also just make that transaction and connection with people. So you still got the real world, but at the end of the day, you can use the digital world to get by in life and connect with people as well.
Thank you.
I would echo that. The reality of the matter is that over the next decade, we're going to see more and more jobs going into the digital tech space. There will be a number of jobs now that we see have been historically done by human beings that are now going to become automated. And that means that it's no longer going to be the case that there's going to be employment opportunities for operatives. It's going to be for the people who can develop something that can operate. And I mean, a really basic example of that we've all gotten used to is what we see in the supermarkets now. And whilst you may have a few checkouts, there are more and more of those becoming self-service. And that's an example of digitalization and an example of how we will be moving forward in that space. So having people who can code, having people who want to develop skills in AI, all of those areas are becoming increasingly needed, and effectively those are the people who are going to be in employment in the next few years.
Definitely.
Couldn't agree more, Marisha. Such a great point. And Theo mentioned the pandemic. I think most of us are aware that the pandemic has really impacted hiring and jobs, making it harder, particularly for young people, to find roles. But the digital skills sector is the one that's really bucked the trend there. So despite the big hits to employability and vacancies that we've seen over the past year during the pandemic, we actually saw a 36% increase in the number of vacancies available for roles that require digital skills here in the UK. So it's bucking the trend, it's growing, and as the other speakers on the call have pointed out, it's a future-proof role. So it's going to give you skills for the future. So not only are you gaining employment, but you're gaining sustainable employment that can see you through for the longer term.
Amazing, thank you. I love that term, future-proof. That is great. So yeah, as our guests have pointed out, that the other industries seem to be shrinking at the moment. So 1 in 5 people are in occupations that will likely shrink due to changes in the job market, as has been mentioned. And advertised roles in the digital sector have grown by 1/3 since June 2020. I can attest to that, being someone who also now works in digital marketing. It's been beautiful in the past year, the amount of job opportunities and remote job opportunities as well that have come into play. So it's a great thing for you guys to bear in mind. 69% of UK leaders believe that their organization has a digital skills gap, and that just means that there are people missing from the organization with the skills to do the digital side of things. So this is where you guys come in. And UK tech employs 2.93 million people, with a 40% growth in the last 2 years. So that's just statistics for you guys, so you know that it's a growing industry and it's something that is really worth you getting the skills in or developing the skills you already have so that you can find yourself a good job in the tech sector. The future workforce will need broad-based knowledge in addition to the more specified skills that are needed for specific occupations. So as we spoke about on the last slide, there are some jobs that will involve social media management and some jobs that might require analytics. So it's good to just get a general knowledge of what the digital workspace looks like. So if we go on to the next slide, please. You can see that digital skills can open some doors. So employment opportunities, I know that Patricia had some things to say here.
Sure, thanks, Leah. It might be worth me giving a bit of context to who Generation is, and I'm really excited here to talk about the sort of employment opportunities that tech can offer for young people in the West Midlands, and the role that Generation are playing in that. So I'm a director with the team here in the West Midlands, but Generation is actually a global non-profit. And we very much have a twofold mission as a charity. So the first part of our work is helping to prepare, place and support talented, motivated young people who want to work into life-changing careers. And the second part of our mission is to help employers access that pipeline of brilliant, talented young people who just need that opportunity on the ladder, and to give them a chance on their teams and to give them paid, sustainable employment. So what does that actually mean? That means we run education to employment programs. So we recruit young people in the region who are currently unemployed but want to work. We'll train you to a really high standard for free. And then we partner with companies in the region and nationally to secure vacancies on your behalf and place you into employment with those companies. Now, Generation as a charity does this around the world. We're in 15 countries, and to date, we've helped over 40,000 young people through training. And we enjoy something called an 80% job placement rate. What that means is within 3 months of finishing one of our programs, 80% of people are in employment already within 3 months. So we do this in a range of sectors in different countries, but here in the UK, we have made a very clear decision to focus on the tech industry and digital skills. Why have we chosen to focus on tech? Well, we've done that because we know that it provides some of the best employment opportunities for young people here in the UK. And we know that because we've done our research. So we always start with jobs first. So we have a whole team here who analyze the job market. We understand where the demand is from employers, and we have a good look at where we see the big growth industries. Now, you've heard from the other speakers and from Leah's last slide just how big that growth is in tech. So from there, we can see that there's a real need for entry-level talent. Why do we know there's a need for entry-level talent? Well, the lack of experience in some of these new emerging technologies is stopping employers from scaling. I'll give you an example, cloud engineering. Nearly everything is in the cloud today. 10 years ago, cloud engineering barely existed. What does that mean for young people? It means that employers are looking for motivated people who want to work in that industry, who've got the skills. It presents a really good opportunity to launch your career. So Generation works with employers to understand what does great entry-level talent look like in these new emerging fields. We sit down with tech teams, we map what their great entry-level hires look like from a technical perspective, but also from an attitude and behavior and a mindset perspective. From there, we create free full-time boot camps specifically for unemployed 18 to 29-year-olds here in the UK. Doesn't matter if you don't have any experience in tech, doesn't matter what your educational background is. What we're looking for is a passion and an interest in technology and the potential to do the role. We'll then train you full-time for free, as I said, to enter into those employment opportunities. I talked about that 80% job placement rate. Here in the UK, our graduates are landing into companies like Fujitsu, like the National Crime Agency, like Sainsbury's, all of whom are in need of those entry-level tech roles. So at Generation, we feel really confident that tech is offering plenty of employment opportunities to young people, regardless of your background and regardless of your previous experience.
Thank you. That's amazing. Like, those are some amazing opportunities there. So, you know, for anybody listening, make sure you check out Generation and see if there's any of the courses there or anything that could help you get into some digital marketing roles. So thank you for that, Patricia. So there's also the fact that you can work in multiple sectors. Marisha, could you possibly give us a little bit more insight on that, please?
Yeah. Excuse me. So I think there's a number of factors really, because there's the employment side, which Patricia's just very eloquently explained, and as you say, I mean, even I'm kind of wishing I was under 30 at this point. I could have retrained. Actually, there's lots of different areas that you can use these skills in. So, for example, one of the areas I work in is in the media space. In media now, so ironically, I'm going to call it an evolving sector, because there was a time when media, for example, when I started doing radio 15 years ago, it was a niche area. It was kind of like, it wasn't particularly accessible, and it's the sort of thing that, you know, I mean, I was fortunate enough to kind of fall into it somewhat accidentally, but it was that sort of thing. TV, media, all of those things were heavily streamlined. Now, media means everything. It means everything from the platform we're sitting on now to YouTube, Instagram, all the socials, and people have been using media to pave a way. I mean, when we look at some of the new talent that's emerging on mainstream TV, where have they come from? They have come from social media platforms where they've displayed their talent, displayed their knowledge, or shown, you know, that they're funny and engaging or what have you, and they've been picked up. So why I say I'm in an evolving area is that on one hand, media has never been more accessible, and that is because of the digital world. At the same time, mainstream TV and radio, for example, to an extent, has really been dying because people are streaming and are watching and consuming content in a very different way. Hence why now what TV and radio are doing is poaching all the people who are on the streaming platforms and putting them on mainstream TV to say, actually, come and watch us. You know, please stick with us. Speaking of, one of my guilty pleasures starts a little bit later on. I won't say which one. I know you'll all be tuned in with me at 9 o'clock. Anyway, so but putting that to the side. So I think what's really important is that there's two ways to look at this. If you are someone who wants to be in a media space that has that kind of talent, that wants to develop that kind of career, you have a platform available to you that once you get to understand how it works and understand how to display your talent on it, can, you know, the world can be your oyster. But then the flip side of that is that, for example, if I put my other hat on, as say a journalist or a businesswoman, we find people for various things through these mediums. So, you know, for example, when I want to look for a guest in a particular subject, I'm going to start trawling digital spaces to look for people who are sharing comments in that space, who are showing their expertise or their knowledge, and so on. And the thing is this, you know, it's so funny. Tomorrow evening, there's an event, an online event with Patricia Bright, sorry, another Patricia, who of course is a very well-known YouTuber, has become a self-made millionaire off the back of being a YouTuber, and she's going to be sharing, you know, tips and techniques for people to kind of develop in that space. But what's really interesting about all of that is that, again, it demonstrates another way in which these things can become your career. So you can either use media as a tool for your career, or you can actually make it your career. And that was something that wasn't an option 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. We've got more and more young people making huge amounts of money because what they've done is develop their skills in different digital spaces. So, you know, what I would say is that it opens up the space to work worldwide. Funnily enough, I was watching another, I don't know if I'd call him an influencer. I just find him hilariously funny. And literally just because he's so authentic. But he made a comment, an off the cuff comment in an interview recently with someone where he said, oh, you know, I didn't have a British passport. He's allowed to be in the country, by the way. He just didn't have a passport. But he didn't have a British passport. And he said, and I sat down and did a calculation and realised that over the course of a year, I lost £100,000 worth of work just because I wasn't able to travel. And when I did the sums on that, I went and got my passport sorted out. This guy's 24 years old. So the reality of the matter is that actually, you know, digital skills can put you in a space where you effectively can eat, you can gain residual income, you can travel all over the world. And residual income, by the way, is when you're earning money that isn't in exchange for your time. When people like me and others are sitting there watching your YouTube video or your social media content and your digital content, and actually because of that, every time we click on it, they've earned an extra few pence. You know, it opens up a whole new way of working. And I'm even going to mention it because whilst some people have particular connotations around it, even services like OnlyFans, not everything on there is, you know, a little risque. There's legitimate stuff on there as well that, you know, you could show your mom, pop it like that. But the reality is that all of these platforms with a little bit of knowledge are creating opportunities that never existed before. And frankly, even old chicks like me have, you know, done a U-turn to learn how some of this stuff works, because as a business person, despite the fact that I may have 15 to 20 years experience, if I now can't articulate that in a reel, nobody cares. So, you know, the world's your oyster is what I would say when it comes to developing these skills, whether it's to enhance an actual media and digital career or another form of career, but using that space.
Thank you. That was so in-depth. That's literally, I think, exactly what people of our generation are looking to hear right now. A lot of people see influencers, especially like YouTube gurus and stuff, and they think, how can I do that? And it is a lot about understanding the platform and understanding what skills you need and what it takes to work on each separate platform. So thank you for that. Theo, I'm going to direct a question towards you. How can digital skills open doors in the freelancing area? Because we know you are a businessman.
Yeah. So Marisha mentioned quite a few things, which was great. And I think like definitely there's two sides to it as well. It's like there's been the creative, so that person that is behind the camera, wants to get the shots and wants to get the photography, wants to get all the creatives to then place those on media platforms such as like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the rest. And there's money in that too, and that just shows like there's got to be constant content, and those people that are creating the content, there's always going to be work for them. You just got to be able to have that flair or that style that you have and keep on creating it and reach out to people. I think just a word of advice for the younger people is that don't be afraid to reach out to people as well. Like obviously when you're young, your parents tell you stranger danger, but like if but like in reality, like now as you grow up and you're moving out of school and college and uni and these things, really think about reaching out to the right people, the creators and the business companies, the business people, because they need that content. A majority of the people that own these big companies don't have the flair and the content strategy that you guys do. So definitely start speaking to people. Don't be afraid of it. Don't think, oh, my friend wouldn't do that, so I'm not going to do that, or that's uncool, because you've got so many followers and that person's got way more than you. Reach out to those people because the opportunities are endless after that. All you need to do is find out, get in front of 3 to 4 people that have large followings, and then they share your content and then tag you in it, and then you get work off the back of that. And then that's just when you've got your own flair, people just want to say, oh, I want to meet XYZ person every single time because they've got great content and their style's great. And then the other side of things is being in front of the camera. So that's why I've been working on quite a lot of coaching recently. Is a lot of people are afraid to be in front of the camera because they just think they're going to be consistently judged, and you have loads of things in the back of your mind telling you like, oh, this isn't great, that's not perfect, don't look great, that's not the right angle, and all this, that, and the other. So it's about getting on the both side of those is great, because if you're building up your brand, which I think everyone's supposed to be doing right now, when you start building your brand, you become more known and people are willing to talk about you and refer you to other people. So get great at doing both of those things. And honestly, if you be consistent and you look into the specific algorithms and search engine optimization and all of these different things, you'll be able to grow, but you have to be consistent. And that's one of the things that I definitely say that you need to be, because I know as being young, and I've been there too, you just want things now, rapid. I'm going to make that viral video, it's going to take off, and I'm going to make millions. But if that doesn't happen, it's consistency. You have to be consistent, and when you become consistent, people then start seeing you as an authority in the space. And I think that's definitely, and even though you're young as well, just remember that you are valuable, because when you're young, you think, oh, what do you like? I'm only young. They don't care about me, or they're older than me. They've got experience. Yeah, those people do have experience, but if you've got the tools and the skills, then they're willing to hire you. They're willing to give you brand promotions. They're willing to give you money for your expertise. So always work on both sides. So in front of the camera and behind the camera.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yes, thank you so much for that. I think I have one follow-up question, and this is mainly for me and anyone else who does content creation out there. How do you, what advice do you have for consistency? Because I find that a lot of us start in the digital freelancing realm and get kind of overwhelmed by the amount that it actually takes. So could you give us a little bit more insight on that, please?
Okay. So this is actually one of the resources that I've got that's on my website. The website is theodorehoffman.club. And basically, number one is having a content calendar. So if you've got a content calendar and you start blocking out your time effectively, you can then say, I'm going to devote one day out of the week that you create content. So if it's not one day, it's half a day. If it's not half a day, it's 3, 2, or 1 hour where you go and create that content. But on the actual schedule, it has your title, it has your bullet points, it has 2 to 3 bullet points that you're going to talk about. Underneath that, the hashtags that you're going to be putting in, and then underneath that, any type of links or any other further information that you're going to talk about. So ideally, you want to post like once every day, ideally, and more if possible. And from there, that's going to help you be consistent. But in terms of making it even easier, is actually creating a longer piece of content, that being a 10-minute conversation or a podcast, and then repurposing the information within that podcast or that video that you've created, and taking the bite-sized pieces out and then start uploading those into specific places on social media.
Thank you so much for that. I'm pretty sure that's one of those things that you charge people for. But we really appreciate that. Just in general, I do, and I'm pretty sure that the listeners do as well. So there's a few more points on this slide I just want to talk about quickly. So digital skills can open doors for accessibility. And this is something I can talk about not too long. Don't worry, guys. I'm not professional like these guys. But for accessibility, it's amazing, especially if you're like me. I am a single mom, so I am very often looking for jobs or roles that I can do around my daughter, around my passion, which is music. And I know that a lot of people who have disabilities, whether they're visible or not, can still get themselves roles in the digital sector. They can work from home. You can have flexibility. There's so much room for you to have kind of the job of your dreams. There's literally endless like restrictions when it comes to working in the digital field. So I think that's something that's really important for you guys to remember as well. If you don't feel like you are stuck, or that your situation is something that prevents you from being able to find a job, especially in the digital realm, because there's multiple opportunities, as well as international working opportunities. So I don't know about any of you guys, if you know anything about this, other than the young influencer you were talking about missing out on opportunities for not having a passport. So guys, if you don't have one, get one. But outside of that, you can work from your home, from your phone, for a company that is in China, that's in India, that's in America. You can literally find the job you've sat back and seen people on TV do and been like, how do I become that? How do I become that? You know, that guy who draws for anime. How do I become that person? You've got the space in the digital realm to have those conversations with the right people. So like Theo was saying, don't be shy to reach out. Don't be shy to say to somebody, you know what, this is my portfolio. If you don't know what a portfolio is, I'll go into that a little bit later. But here's my portfolio, and this is what I do. This is how I do it. This is the word I'm looking for. This is the software that I use, or whatever. Like, you have got space to find your role. So just remember that. And of course.
Sorry, Leah. I was just going to say, can I also make a point about job searching? And I'm sure people would agree with this. But something else, I think, well, two things actually. One platform that I think a lot of people, young people in particular, seem to neglect, and I can kind of understand why, because it might seem a bit boring, but it's LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I cannot tell you how much money I've made from LinkedIn over the years. Just really big for being my wonderful self, basically. You know, but the point being is that, you know, LinkedIn is basically like having an online CV. That's literally what it is. And please don't miss that out. I know it might not seem as easy to use or as accessible as maybe some of the others, but it really is a space, and genuinely people go there. I think I was headhunted by somebody last week, literally. That's how common this is. So I say that as one point. And the second thing is that actually, when it comes down to because there's two, you can job search, you can be headhunted. And there are people who are very often looking for people and looking for skills. And one way that we now start to ascertain those skills is through your digital footprint, because CVs are not a thing anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you go into a normal agency, they'll say, "Have you got a CV?" But your CV is your digital footprint. So actually, even if it's social media or your own website, I mean, I caught that theodorehoffman.club. Yeah, I heard that. Whether it's your personal space or your social media space or what have you, think about how you present yourself in that space to make it easy for people to find you. And also when when you approach a company and say, "Hey, I'm really interested in doing this," you'll find that, what do we all naturally do these days? The first thing you do is you pop their name into a search engine, you see what you can find on that person, just to get a feel for who they are and what they are. So what I would say with the sort of job searching thing is recognize now that your CV is something that you can be breathing life into regularly. And don't think, "Hey, I've only got 150 Instagram followers, nobody cares about who I am." That's not true. It's not always about quantity, it's about quality. As Theo said, consistency and being easy to find. As a journalist, I work for the BBC. I mean, Lyric, I know we found you as a singer because of social media. The reality of the matter is that as journalists, for example, we use that space so much. So don't underestimate how powerful your post is, because you don't know who's seeing it and you don't know what opportunities can come off the back of something like that.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. Marisha, that is such an important point. And I think if people take anything away from this call, one of the things they can action immediately is looking at their LinkedIn profile and how they appear to potential employers and opportunities. At Generation, we know LinkedIn is so important that we actually build modules into our free training to help people build their LinkedIn profile as well as their CV and interview skills. So it's not just about giving you the technical skills to get into employment. It's also what we call these employability skills. So how do you look when an employer Googles you or looks you up on LinkedIn? These things are really important in terms of getting that first foot in the door for that opportunity that you're looking for. What I would add to Marisha's comment is, if you're not yet working in the industry you want to work in, if you want to move into the digital sector but haven't had that opportunity yet, don't think because you're currently unemployed that there's nothing for you to promote or put out there. The things employers are really looking for is passion and motivation and a want to do the role. And you can show that quite easily on LinkedIn by posting about the activities you're taking, whether they be voluntary or unpaid, by demonstrating an interest in digital skills or the other areas that you're working in. And you can build up a presence that shows that you are motivated to work in these sectors that will help you on your journey into employment. So it's a great resource that's definitely underused. And yeah, we offer free training in that because it's so important. So great point.
I definitely agree with you, definitely. Especially when you put your name in Google, it tends to be LinkedIn. That's the first one that pops up. So if you are looking for work, 100% put yourself on LinkedIn. It is a great place to be in terms of getting new business, getting sales or freelancing. It's facts. I've gained a lot of business from it. So definitely get on it. Definitely. I just want to kind of like go in again on just making sure that you reach out to people, because I think a lot of people, younger people, will be scared to reach out to people, and I think that's not the right mindset to have. I think you have to reach out to these people. These people want your skills, and if you're consistent, you will get the work and you will get paid. End of the day, that's what you're looking to do when you get work, is get paid. Just a very short story. Like I did some work for someone, and then I got paid from James's Villa, and they took me to Ibiza to film there for 5 days and pay me a lot of money to be there with other influencers. So, and that was just because of connecting with the right people. So just take that as a bit of inspiration to go out there and reach out to people, and then you could potentially get a holiday or whatever, as well as getting paid. So that's
Oh, I love the way you put that. You could potentially get a holiday. But no, I think great points, especially like to do with LinkedIn and getting out there and speaking to people. I think when I was in school, it was called like sending a speculative letter. But nowadays, you don't really get to do that anymore. You literally have to message someone and say, well, this is what I'm capable of. Or even down to, oh, I've been following you on social media for this long, and I noticed that you could use a hand with this, and these are my services, and this is how I do it. Like, there is so much room for you to have those jobs, but it does take, as everyone has said, just kind of taking that step and putting yourself out there and being able to say, these are my skills. And even if you don't have them yet, showing that you're interested and showing that you're willing to learn, even if that's going to Generation and taking a course, going to the Prince's Trust, just Googling what it is that you're into and finding out where all of the jobs or the opportunities, the apprenticeships are. There is loads in the digital sector, guys. So please don't take any of this information lightly. These guys are giving you gold. So yeah, I think we can move on to the next slide. But that was so informative. Thank all of you for that. So these are just a few of the digital roles that we have in the sector, and I do mean a few, guys. There are so many. But I'll just read them out really quickly. You've got cybersecurity, digital marketing, which is one of the big ones, data analysis, IT managers, web and app developers, digital infrastructure developers, sound engineers. It says podcasts in brackets, but there's also music and like all of that you can sound engineer for. E-commerce sales, software engineering, IT managing, immersive experience designer. I think I read that right, but I don't have my glasses on. Artificial intelligence developer, project manager, and computer coder. And all three of our guests have separate jobs in the digital roles. So as you can see, there's so many. I've done courses in web design and coding, sound engineering, digital marketing, and there's literally, if you type in any of these roles or even social media manager, anything you can think of in the digital realm. UX design is another one that's not on there. Anything creative, because I don't see that many creative roles on there. There is a ton of creative digital roles. So are there any sectors that you guys can think of or want to kind of go into?
I'd just like to say, like, all of those roles there have big money.
Oh yeah, very, very big money, especially like analytics, coding, the back end of digital.
Yeah.
If you're a techie, if you're like a gamer or something, guys, check out these roles.
Yeah, don't take it lightly. All of these pay very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we run some boot camps in relation to some of these programs, and I'm building on Theo's point about what that money really means. Everyone who enters onto our programs is unemployed, but the average starting salary for people who finish our boot camps is 25k. So that's unemployment, 3 months free training into a job role of 25k. I have personally placed Generation graduates who are unemployed into work at nearly 40k for roles, starting salary. Sometimes a bit less, but that's because they're great roles and great companies that people want to join. So when Theo says there's big money involved here, it is absolutely a burgeoning sector where people are prepared to pay for individuals with digital skills, with a passion for the digital sector. One other thing I would say is I'm conscious there's probably a lot of people looking at this slide thinking, I have no idea what a digital infrastructure developer is. It sounds great. I want to get paid. I want to work. But what does that even mean? I would say do spend some time going away and doing a bit of research, because the piece that you won't notice about this slide is the huge diversity of skills involved in some of these roles. So, for example, we know that data analysts or data engineers need some great coding skills. But if you're an IT support engineer, you need some brilliant interpersonal abilities. You need to be able to talk to people, troubleshoot, help them with problems. So go away, have a look, do some research, even if you've got no real idea around what really the tech industry looks like, and start to pick out some of the areas and skills that you think, okay, I'm not a techie yet, but I do know that I like talking to people. I do know that I like solving problems, and that will help you to start to narrow in on particular areas you might be interested in.
Yeah, that's a really powerful point. And because what I would add to that is also, I say to people all the time that I am the most non-technical technical person you'll ever meet in your life. And why that is because, I mean, I kind of feel like okay, I'm not that old, but I was kind of born in at that point where I know life before the digital revolution, but then I also know life in the digital revolution, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit like, you know, I remember when you did that on a phone to dial. Some of you will have no idea what I've just demonstrated. But then, you know, as I say that, my mobile's sitting in front of me. So, you know, I say that to say this, that not every job in the digital space is about actually being a techie. Some jobs in digital spaces are actually other jobs. So it's like, Theo mentioned it, like creatives, for example, Leah, you similar sort of thing. If you're particularly artistic, or actually if you love design and all of that sort of thing, there are roles for you in a digital space. If you, for example, you know, as I say, I'm a broadcaster, so I found myself in a digital space, but that's actually because I talk too much. Really, because, you know, I woke up one morning as a techie, you know, and then the other things as well. And I think it probably just comes off the back of the fact that, you know, as an entrepreneur, I've run a number of businesses of my own over the years. And sometimes as part of that, you end up developing skills that you just need because in that moment you can't afford them. So things like web developing and so on. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that they're the best in the world, but right now I've got 3 websites and I built them all myself. And one of them literally knocked up in a week because it was like there was an opportunity. I knew that I could sell something, but I needed a space to sell it from. And I was like, quick, build website. So that was what I did. But the point being is that you don't have to necessarily be massively technical, you know. So if you're a gamer, if you're someone who's into artificial intelligence, then yeah, some of these jobs might sound ideal for you. But the point being is that even if you're not, it's still worthwhile saying, hey, this is what I love doing: music, art, broadcasting, whatever. Let me see what digital opportunities there are for actually the skills and the passions that I have, because these days you'll probably find that there is something.
Definitely. One other thing was e-commerce sales. If you, like, I was going into like branding before, if you got your own brand, and as you guys know, you got your own merch, or you want your own product, even if you can't even just buy your own product, you can drop ship a product, as you don't actually have to pay for it. And then obviously the company takes a percentage out of it. You can go on Alibaba and buy tons of product, but make sure you do research and stuff like that to then resell and put that on Amazon. There's loads of different avenues, and it's like the opportunities are there. It just comes down to a little bit of training and tweaking there, or getting advice or coaching or whatever, for you to make a lot of money. To be honest, it's you can sit down and within a whole month 100% make money off an e-commerce website, and if you put the time and the energy in. But you've got to build your brand, you've got to create the content, you've got to be able to run your ads and stuff like that. But there are ways and means in doing this in digital. That's why I kind of absolutely love that the fact that digital is kind of like just come in and just swept everyone off their feet. But yeah, like there's massive opportunities, even if you don't even create that yourself, but you work for a company selling websites, like you'd make a lot of money just selling those websites as well. Or even like get used to selling within a company, and then after you're used to it and learn the script and stuff like that, go and do it for yourself. And then from there you can use them transferable skills to start creating, selling more websites for yourself instead of others. But you need to make sure you learn how to create those websites as well. So everything.
Yeah, and And these days it's so easy. I mean, I've got to be honest with you, in the same way that YouTube taught me how to put a false lash on, YouTube taught me how to use Canva. Like, you know, there's a lot of things that these days, there's so much information. The good thing about digital is that it's not just about what you put in, there's so much you can get back out. And so, you know, that's where getting ahead actually is just taking a little bit of time to invest in yourself. Now, you're probably not going to learn the same level of skill that you're going to learn, for example, if you go to a program, let's say, that's done by Generation, where they're going to really go in depth with you. But what it can do is just start to give you some insight into, do I like this? For me, and does this allow me to sort of use a bit of flair? Because I've got to be honest, again, like I say, I would have said I'm rubbish at design, but I genuinely enjoy using Canva and I appreciate it because you know, when I have a little vision in my head that I know I draw stick men, I can't do anything more sophisticated than that, then Canva gives me something that goes, oh, right, great, I can work with that. And then I can change a few colours and I can stick a logo in and I can do a few bits and pieces on it, you know, in a relatively short period of time and come out with something that, you know, people are like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm like, I know, you know, but it's with the help of something. So, you know, don't underestimate how much information is available to teach you just the basics, which then lead you on to the other stuff that becomes the big bucks later on.
And the flip side to that is, like, if you do have knowledge, then you can sell it as a course because everyone's looking for that information as well. And literally loads of people died to be able to create a website because they don't know how to do it, or create some digital art on different platforms because they don't know how to do it, or a strategy and they don't know how to do it, as long as you know that what you're delivering adds value to them. So opportunities are there.
100%. I think the only thing I want to add to that is some of these roles, guys, are really not all that difficult. Like, I just want to make that clear. They're not that hard to do, but a lot of people are still behind on how far digital is coming and how far it is going to go. So do really take time to go look at some of these roles, Google other digital roles, because as I said, this is not even the beginning of it. This is just some of the great paying jobs that you can get. But realistically, the things that you can already do, if you're like active on social media or anything like that, you've probably already got a good amount of the skills that you need to get into some of these roles. So don't take what you already know lightly. Really think about what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, and what you can already do. And like Theo said, transferable skills are massive over any like employment industry. Those skills are really important and they help you be more employable. But do think about what you've got already and whether you've got space to slip into the industry or whether you need to get any extra training. And as Marisha said, YouTube's your best friend. It is a great help for these things. So yes, thank you guys so much. Again, this has been like, I'm really happy I hosted this one. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, just to really begin to wrap up, what what suggestions do you have for anybody who's looking to get into the digital route or the digital skill sector, and where could they go to find routes into it?
I would say, like, literally just start, like, figure out what you like doing and start doing it. Because a lot of people, what a lot of people do is they don't start because of hesitation. And they then say, or they don't start because they know a lot of this stuff as well. And then that's just holding them back, where they should just start. Like, don't think about too hard about the website. Don't think too hard about how you're going to message someone. Just keep it short and simple and just get to the point and just say, like, you've got the value or you want to learn. And then from there, the opportunities will come, but you've got to start. Like, the enter button isn't going to work itself. You've got to press it.
100%.
Theo's right. You've got to take that first step. If I was watching this presentation thinking, okay, I'm sold, digital skills is the way to go, what do I do now? I'd take the advice from the other speakers here, go away, do some research, look up some of those job roles, see what areas interest me. And then I would look at some of these opportunities here. Here at Generation, we have a range of free boot camps, all for West Midlands residents who are unemployed, age 18 to 29. Have a look at our website, www.generation.org, and look at the range of different free training opportunities that we have. If you're not too sure which one feels right for you, you can reach out to us, speak to a member of our team, and we'll help you think about how to apply. For all of our boot camps, if you don't have access to a laptop, we'll provide you with a free laptop. If you don't have somewhere where you have good access to the internet, we'll sort you out there. There'll be no economic barrier to you reaching your potential. And like I said, we're not really looking for a shiny CV with loads of tech experience behind it. We're not looking for loads of particular grades at school. We're looking for motivation and we're looking for potential. So if you've gone away and done that research and you said, do you know what, Generation, I think I might be interested in data, but I need to know a bit more. I need to improve my data engineering skills. Then you can train with us for free. It will only take 10 minutes to complete an application, and then we'll follow up on the next steps. So I would say have a look at the Generation website, as well as having a look at other boot camps and free courses that there are online to upskill yourself in that area.
Thank you.
I think from my point of view, what I would say is don't be afraid to emulate the people that you like. And so, you know, if there are people that you're following or you see them doing something and you're like, do you know what? I want to do that. Find out what they're doing, you know, and a lot of times that can just be, again, looking at their digital footprint and seeing where they started out and what sort of things they've done to get into the space that they're in. And in some instances, you can ask them. You'll be surprised how many people will tell you their journey and tell you the things that they're doing and what they've done if you simply ask a question. Speaking of, Theo, I need you to help me work my camera. You know, the one you talked about. I thought I need to not forget to tell you that because my settings got changed and I don't know what I'm doing. Help. But anyway, but don't be afraid to ask people who have got the skills that you need. None of us are born with everything. None of us, you know, woke up in the morning and suddenly had all of these tech skills. It doesn't work that way. You build it up over time. So, you know, emulate the people that you enjoy and look at what they're doing and see how you can do a version of it for yourself. And, you know, you'll find that by doing that, it can be fun, it can be insightful, it can actually help you build your network. And again, I mean, right now, I mentor a young lady who is in her early 20s. She helps me to understand certain things that I don't understand, and I'm helping her to build a career in media. The reality of the matter is that you do have value to offer us, and we need you. And at the same time, you know, there's ways in which we can also potentially use the benefit of our experience and our network to open doors for you. So Theo said it at the beginning, don't be afraid to reach out to people, but don't be afraid to reach out to the people that you admire or you think you can learn something from. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to help and teach.
100%.
Great. Thank you so much. So yeah, just other than those beautiful words of advice from everybody, so thank you guys. There are the more traditional routes, as we can see here on the slide. There's apprenticeships. So you can find those on like Department of Education website, or literally just Google apprenticeships in your area for the kind of role that you're after. That's for if you want to earn while you learn. It's one of the ways that they like to tell us about apprenticeships. So if you are interested and you've already got the skills that you're looking for and just want to kind of elevate them a little bit, apprenticeships are a great way to do that. Online courses, as we've mentioned actively throughout this presentation, they are great. I can attest to that personally. They have really, really helped me. I was out of work for a long time and took some courses in coding and digital marketing and sound engineering and all sorts, and they have elevated me personally. So guys, really don't take for granted the free courses, and even the ones that you might have to pay a little bit for, they are really, really worth it. And if you're looking for a place to start, There's networking with professionals, as Marisha did mention, researching what you like, as we've mentioned, all of us have mentioned multiple times. LinkedIn, which is your online CV or your online portfolio, which I said I'd go into, but really quickly, your portfolio is literally just an amalgamation of the things that you've done. So put some of your best work together and put it on a separate Instagram page, or put it on your own website, even put it on your LinkedIn, and let people see what it is that you can do. There's meetup events for networking, and there's Techie Talks, which is basically TED Talks for techies. So all in all, there is a great amount of ways that you guys can get into digital skills and, well, gain some digital skills and get into the digital marketing realm. Digital tech realm. I'm tired, guys. I've done a lot. But yeah, do you guys have any final words of wisdom to let everybody kind of go away from this presentation with?
Just get started and reach out.
Sorry, Theo.
Oh, sorry. You go first. Ladies first.
Oh, that's very kind. Thanks. We're all desperate to give advice. What I would say is, if you're at the start of the journey and thinking it sounds interesting, but I'm just not too sure if it's for me, I don't know much about this area, I would say be brave. Be brave. Go and do some research. Speak to some of the organisations represented on this call, and don't worry about what you don't know. Have faith in your potential and your ability to contribute, because young people are the future. They have so much to contribute to these future industries, and these industries need you. They want you. So come along, offer the skills you have, and start on the career path of your choice.
Thank you.
I totally agree. The other thing is just reach out to people. Definitely speak to people. You must, whether that's Patricia, Marisha, myself, Leah, just other influencers, anyone that you want to work with, or someone that's doing something great. Just speak with them, because that's where the opportunity is. And I know that a lot of people don't like selling themselves, and they don't like sales and all this, that, and the other, and they get scared. I'm telling you, if you reach out to 100 people, you're going to get 10 people come back to you and say, oh, yeah, we like this about you. We like that about you. Come in, or we'll have a Zoom call, and there could be an opportunity there. And all it takes is one opportunity, and for you to do one thing amazing, and people just want to work with you. And that's a great thing. When one person wants to work with you and multiple people want to work with you, then your price goes up. So just remember that. Just keep reaching out to people.
Yeah. I think I would say, from a very practical standpoint, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, create one. And if you do have one, go back to it, visit it, have a look at what it looks like and what message it's sending about you. And don't be afraid to look at other people's LinkedIn pages to get some inspiration for the sorts of things you can put on your own. So I think Patricia made the point earlier, if you're not in the job that you want to be in, so you can't say that's your job title, but you know that's what you want to do, go and look at the LinkedIn pages of people who are doing that job, see what sorts of skills they present that they have, the way they write up their bio, those sorts of things, to get an idea of how to communicate with people in that industry. Also, send them connect requests, okay? Connect with them, because then you'll be able to see more about what they're doing. And the thing with LinkedIn that I don't know if it's the same with other social medias, but one of the things I find is I think I'm much more open to connecting with people on LinkedIn than I am in other spaces. Like, if you try and hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, I'm like, do I know you? Whether I want to follow you or not. Whereas, or you've got to be doing something really interesting. Whereas in LinkedIn, for me, like, everybody is part of a network. It's a resource, and we either know someone directly or indirectly. So don't be afraid to reach out. And when you're sending a connection request for people not familiar with LinkedIn, you can actually add into it a little note. So don't be afraid to write people a note saying, hey, I'm trying to get into the industry that you're working in. I'd love to connect with you to learn a little bit more. You'd be surprised how many people would just be like, oh yeah, connect. That's it, job done. So do that. And as I say, get one going. And if you haven't got one going, then if you have one already, then just double check it, look at it again, build it up, because you'll be surprised how many opportunities will come from that space.
Thank you all so much. This has been amazing, honestly. So for anyone who's been watching, these have been our amazing guests. They've really, really given some amazing insight into what it's going to take for you to get into the digital realm. So my only advice would be to you guys, if you are looking to get any sort of work, education, or employment, to stick around with the Summer Careers Festival. And we will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. with non-school routes to your future. So make sure you guys come through for that as well. And just another massive thank you to our guests. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Leah.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.